Welcome to the season finale of the Lynn MA Sportscast. I'm Sean Donahue.
And I'm Jessica Starbard. We've got a different show lined up for you this week. Later on, I'm going to sit down and get to know David Leary, the new head coach of the Lynn Tech basketball program, a little bit better. But first, we are sitting down with the legendary John Hoffman. And we're going to chit-chat about our favorite moments of this past sports year, because there's been a lot of action. A lot of our high school teams have made it to the postseason. So, John, let's just start off. What is your thoughts on the season as a whole?
First of all, I want to know how you spell legendary. I want to make sure
Don't
we're
ask
talking
me,
about,
I didn't say it.
the same thing.
Hoffmane.
That was fun.
No, I would think that probably the biggest surprise, and I don't think it was a really, I say surprise because of past years, the Lynn Classical girls soccer team. They made it to the state tournament. Miss Alacudo did a terrific job getting them to the tournament, and they hadn't made the tournament in many, many years. I don't know if they ever made the tournament, but that was a tremendous surprise, and the kids really worked hard. They had Strelakis, Jillian in net, and Galizzi and Laurier and Cuso, and a lot of players. I'll stop there because I'll forget even more, but I think that would be one of the real highlights of the year, with that team making the state tournament.
One thing I'd like to point out, that the girls who played on that team played on the same team throughout. So even in softball, they had already had that rapport that they had developed in the soccer season. Since we're speaking about an overall, this was pretty historical sports season in Lynn.
I think so, but you could also mention that when you're talking about those kids all playing together, they've just got together and won the New England Championship and the state championship, playing for the Breakers, coached by Timmy Phelan.
Right.
And they lost in the finals, but they're on their way to play in Ireland.
That's true.
As a group. And that's great, because that's going to be classical kids, English kids, so the kids that usually play against each other are now playing with each other and doing it very successfully.
Yeah, I'd say so. The coaching staff over at Classical is phenomenal, as well as the whole athletic department. What would you say, Jess?
Absolutely. Classical's been kind of one of those standout schools the entire year throughout every different sport. Now, thinking back to all the kind of great athletes that we've seen this year, I mean, across the board, especially some of the senior class, just from Classical, we have Brad Scuzzarella. He's been outstanding. I feel like I'm calling his name every sport we do a highlight for. John, what are some of the athletes that stick out in your mind?
Well, there's been so many. I think when you talk about the Classical baseball team, Brad Scuzzarella is one of the long in the tooth. They didn't make the tournament. They went right down to the wire and just missed. But when you look at the fact that they had 3 freshmen playing, and they had a couple of sophomores, and they have most of their team back next year, you look and say that was a tremendous success story. You look at, times have changed, because when it used to be, if you lived in East Lynn, you went to English, West Lynn, you went to Classical. When they opened that up and anybody could go anywhere, then everybody sort of drifted to Classical.
Yeah.
And it really affected, like, the girls softball team. Mm-hmm. Girls softball and English, they haven't fared very well. But they have some very good athletes. The big thing, and I'm a former fast pitch pitcher, not that I was that good, but I'm a former pitcher. Pitching is 99% of fast pitch softball. Mm-hmm. And when you have St. Mary's garnering 3 outstanding pitchers, and they're all underclassmen.
Yep.
You have Classical over the years have had the best pitchers in the city. It leaves English a little bit short. They work very hard, but it's awful hard. You got to score an awful lot of runs to overcome when your pitcher is not pitching fast pitch.
Right.
So I thought the English girls were a very good story too, because they persevered. I gave their pitcher the red badge of courage, because she never pitched before, but she said, "I'll give it a try," and she pitched almost every inning of every game. And that was tough on them, but they persevered. And Elisa Fowler, who just retired, did a terrific job over 23 years, shaping and molding a lot of great kids and helping them be successful, not so much on the softball field, although they were quite a bit, but in life. I think that's even bigger.
I'd have to agree with you. The record really isn't indicative of the athletes that play there. I don't know the reason why all the kids are going to Classical, but you hit the nail on the head right there. It's like everybody wants to be there.
Well,
Do you know
winning
why?
begets winning. I mean, like, for years the baseball team wasn't good. Nobody was going to go to Classical. Jimmy Jetta stepped in, turned the program around. Classical started winning. They made the tournament. All of a sudden, I want to go play for Jimmy Jettis. It was sort of like many years ago when people would move into Swampscott to play for Stan Bondalevich because his kids were all going to college, they were going to big schools, and they were winning, so everybody wanted to go. It's like Jessica and I, we do Everett now. Right. Everybody wants to be like Everett, John DiBiaso, and go to big schools and stuff, you know. Right. So when it's much easier to go to practice, as you know, when you're winning.
Yeah.
It's hard to go when you're not winning. And that's why I give the English kids a tremendous amount of credit, because they persevered through a season knowing that they may not even get to play past 5 innings.
Since we're on the topic of softball, St. Mary's stood out. Jess, you had some time to speak with some of these athletes, too.
Michaela Hamill really sticks out in my mind as one of the top athletes they have in that softball program. She's being so young, she's only a sophomore, and being able to kind of compose herself under all of that pressure. St. Mary's just kind of has this reputation of winning, and to take that composure and go to the mound, being that young and being able to pitch at that level, it's exciting to see where she's going to go in the next 2 years. We still have 2 years of seeing her pitch at St. Mary's.
Well, you look at those kids, and that's one of the reasons why St. Mary's is successful. I mean, you can have great shortstops, outfielders, hitters, catchers, but if the pitcher don't throw strikes, you're not going to win many games. And St. Mary's has been very lucky through the years. They even lost the girl Wilson, who pitches for Peabody, had pitched a year for St. Mary's. She moved over to Peabody and got them in the state tournament. So they got young Miss Mia Nowicki, who last year a freshman, had great poise on the mound for a freshman. Michaela Hamill is a sophomore, great poise. You know, the other pitcher, Jordan, was a junior. So they've got those 3 coming back again.
Right.
So they just reload, you know, because they've got athletes around them that play soccer and basketball, and like Jenny Mucciarone, that played 3 sports. And, you know, like Galizzi at Glasgow playing 3 sports. You got to have that pitcher that throws strikes if you want to have any shot at all.
One thing I'd like to point out was, I mean, we've covered the spring pretty well. I'd like to move into the fall. Just one of your first projects that you ever did here at the Sportscast was the Thanksgiving game, and that was a historical game without a doubt. Now, John, you were there.
That's like I told Lucas Harris, and after the game I said, retire now.
You can't top it.
Because there's
You're
nothing
done.
else.
You're done.
You're done.
You dream about those kind of games, and you say you go to bed at night looking up at the ceiling. I'm sure you've done it. I intercepted a pass and ran it back 60 yards for a touchdown and won the Super Bowl. You know, but you know, I make the 2 free throws that win the championship. And here's the kid. Nobody had scored for a while. Glasgow went down and scored, took the lead, and all of a sudden here comes English. 4th down from the 20-yard line, 40 seconds left.
Things that history are made of, the 100th year too.
Yeah, and you look and catch it and you go, my God.
You couldn't have written it better.
Well, I was very lucky. I had a lot in between. But 2 bookends that I had were both English and Glasgow were 0-9, the first play-by-play game I ever did. And I'm watching the game, and Steve Smith, with no time left, kicked a field goal to win the game for Lynn English over Glasgow. And then they moved forward. I'm not going to tell you how many years. And you look at the pass in the end zone, caught, and the kid that catches the pass comes out and kicks the extra point.
That's perfect.
And they win it. And I told both of them, sign autographs now, go home and never play again, because you can't do any better. You just did.
Yeah.
I remember going through that package and then at the end seeing all of the fans storm on the field. For the 100th anniversary of that matchup, I mean, you really just couldn't have scripted it any better if it was a major movie.
Well, that's the Super Bowl for those kids in that game, because more often than not, there's been very few times, once for English, once for Glasgow, that they made the Super Bowl. So usually they know they're not going to go to the Super Bowl, so they say, this is our game, and we have to win this game. And plus the fact that they played with and against each other in, you know, Pop-Warner football and Little League and Babe Ruth baseball and, you know, youth hockey, and, you know, and now they get to play against each other, and you don't want to be the one that loses that game. Like this year, English, the seniors in the last, I think it's 4 years, had never lost to Glasgow. So you don't want to be the senior class that loses to Glasgow, because they're going to let you know you did it.
Yeah, Jess, you're an English girl, and I'm a classical guy. So that was our first project we worked on. We butted heads a few times. I thought Classical was going to take it out. I don't really like talking about that game too much, but
Oh, I could talk about it
it was
all day.
phenomenal, man. For the 100th game, good stuff. Other fall sports, basketball's a big one. Let's get to that in a few minutes. We got about 5 minutes left in this interview. Other fall sports that stood out to you, I'd say St. Mary's football, definitely. The Tech St. Mary's rivalry stands out among some of the best too.
Well, but obviously, if you go to basketball, the girls were prevalent because the Lynn English girls went 25-0.
If
The
you
game
wanna
they
talk
lost
about
was the
them
Eastern,
being
the Eastern
underdogs.
Mass
Right.
final.
That's our one Lynn
you know,
English sport that really is strong.
Yeah, those
right
three
now.
kids led them every year. They kept getting better and better. Now they go to the Eastern Mass final, one game away from the state final, and they lose to the team that won the state championship. They go 25-0. Freddie Hogan did a great job. You look at St. Mary's, freshmen, they win the championship. Seniors, they win the championship with their big three. With Rudolph and Sanders and Mucciaroni, and a great cast of characters around with Jeff Newhall. The Classical boys,
Yep.
they did a tremendous job because they were underdogs. They had to beat English, then they beat English at English, then they had to beat Salem again at Lynn Classical in order to win the Northeastern Conference.
Right.
And it was hard to believe that over all these years, Tommy Grassi had never won outright the Northeast Conference Championship. Everybody thought he's been around for 100 years.
Yeah.
He must have won several. This is the first time he's won it outright. He did a great job, him and his kids.
It was an exciting year for them, without a doubt. One of my favorite games was the first Gloucester game that they had played, Classical boys basketball, and there was a questionable call at the end that led the Classical to the victory, I believe. So when they met up, I think it was actually a Sideline Sportscast, when they met up for the second game at Classical, it was a rip-roaring rivalry ready to go.
Oh yeah. Well, it's usually, if it's not English and Classical or English Classical against Swampscott, then Gloucester is next in line. Everybody wants to beat Gloucester. But I'll give you one of my favorite moments, and it had nothing to do with what was going on in the court. They were playing Woburn, I believe it was Woburn, in the state tournament, Classical. And they were at Classical, they got a home game. And the stands under the basket were filled with Classical kids. The stands on the opposite side were filled with Woburn kids. And both teams were rooting back and forth, and everybody thought, we could have problems. Well, what happened was, one of the kids from Woburn said, I'm going to makeshift. Red Rover, they had costumes, Classical costumes. They said, send that person over. And that person went over from Classical and got into the Woburn stands. And then the Classical kid said, well, we want the girl in the blue jersey, and she went over. And they were actually swapping fans back and forth, and the Woburn fans and the Classical fans, as they walked by them, were all ecstatic. Nobody cared. The game, Woburn was getting killed in the game.
Yeah.
They didn't care. They were whooping and laughing and whooping. It was a great night for everybody, and I said, the best sportsmanship night I've ever seen. It was great.
You know what? Those memories are going to stick with those kids forever, because I remember being a senior at Lynn English, and we had the Classical English blackout whiteout game. English whiteout, Classical blackout, and that's exactly how it was, and it will always stick out in my mind as some of the best memories of being in high school. And I think that's what makes high school sports so special, because you're in those formative years and you are with your friends, and it's just a different kind of bond. What are the best team bonds you saw this year?
Well, there's a lot of them, because I think the best of all are the girls' teams. Because you watch the boys play, and if the boys lose, they slam the helmets, they slam the bats, they walk out, they discuss it, it takes a while. The girls, if you pull up in front of the park and you see the girls coming out, you can't tell whether they won or lost.
Right.
Because they're bouncing and laughing, and where are we going to go now, and here we go, and they might even be together going out because they know each other. And, it's that camaraderie that it goes through, and it comes from the Lynn kids, 4 schools, but growing up, they're all together. They live in neighborhoods. I can remember doing a program where I talked to one girl. We had a program, and she was volunteering to do things, and she came to the show, and the girl she was sitting next was her neighbor, and she didn't know that she was volunteering also, and they didn't know that, and all of a sudden, and they became best friends, and they started hanging around with each other, and so it happens. The girls do it terrifically. The boys have great relationships too, but nothing like the girls. The girls forget the game almost immediately.
Yeah.
It's like, what are we going to do tonight?
I'd say that you hit the nail on the head. It's a great way to end the season finale. That's what it's about, right? It's about the camaraderie, about the relationships that you build in out of sports. So we've got about 2 minutes left in this. Now, you said that you wanted to mention something to the city of Lynn for recognizing you throughout all your hard work. 30 years. Tell us about it, John.
Well, I don't know about the hard work. Jessica knows I don't work very hard.
No, that's not true.
And she doesn't either, by the way. But,
Oh, yeah. It's a big party over and
whatever
over.
she told you, whatever she told you was a lie. But, no, but they had a terrific night, and I was just absolutely flabbergasted. It was former parents, it was former players, it was coaches and athletic directors, it was friends I knew, it was people I just met, the fans of games. I don't know how many thousands of games I've done over 30 years or how many thousands of people I've met, including Everett, but it was a tremendous night for me the other night on it. I mean, I got framed letters from the Bruins, the Celtics, the Patriots. Dick Flavin showed up. Chris Gaspar, who writes the Patriots column, showed up and spoke. Wow. Nick Lopato for the Spirit made a great, generous donation. Jessica's father was on the committee. There was 20 people. Bart Conley did a great job with the tickets. Al Melanson and Nancy, his wife, spearheaded the event. There were so many people that were involved. Mike McGeary, and I'll stop there because I'll forget somebody. But there were so many people, and it was such a great night. And I was so thankful for me, but also for my family and my daughters and my granddaughters. My granddaughter spoke. Frank Carey spoke. I'm glad he took over and went after Tony Nicosia, so he got off me. But but it was just a great night, and it was tremendous to be with so many great people, and I couldn't be more happy or more thankful for. And I still getting cards and letters and phone calls from people that couldn't make it and couldn't get tickets because it was sold out. And I kept saying, "Don't pinch me. I don't want to wake up because they'll find out it's not for me; it's for somebody else." But it was absolutely great.
I'd say you earned it. Definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely. Thank you so much for all that you've done, and then thank you so much for being on the season finale of Sportscast. Earlier today, I was able to sit down with David Leary. He's the new head coach of the Lynn Tech basketball program, and see what he's going to do to turn that program around. Check it out. We are sitting down with the new head coach of the Lynn Tech basketball team, Coach David Leary. Welcome on the show, and then welcome to Lynn.
Thank you for
Tell us
having
a
me.
little bit about your background and where you're coming from.
Sure. I've been coaching for 15 years. The first 5 years I was at Dom Savio, where I played in high school as the junior varsity coach, and for the past 10 years I've been the JV coach and varsity assistant at Malden High School.
So what drew you to Lynn? What drew you to want to come coach in Lynn?
Looking from afar, definitely one of the most talented basketball cities in the state. I have been a resident in Lynn for 8 years, and I've always said, if I get the opportunity to coach in the city, I would definitely want to grasp that and work with the kids in the city and try to help them reach their goals on and off the court.
Awesome. And what kind of things have you been doing since you were hired a few months ago?
We've been doing a lot. I've been checking with the kids every week, checking on their grades and making sure that they're doing the right thing in the classroom. We just recently started playing in a summer league over at Saugus High School, which we're doing pretty well. We're 1-2, but 3 competitive games. They're running a basketball camp over at the school right now, which Fisher College is running, which is excellent. We have 6 or 7 kids attending that every day, keeping them busy, and just working with the kids on skills and drills. My brother is actually a volunteer. He's been doing a lot of work with them in the off season, which has been great.
Nice. So what would you describe your coaching style like now that you've been an assistant for a couple of years, and how do you think that's going to translate over to being a head coach?
Yeah, I'm excited about it, actually. There's a lot of similarities as far as demographics and things of that nature that, I was coaching in Malden. And so, we're going to be an up-tempo, defensive-minded team. Probably a lot of full-court pressure. Definitely up-tempo, want to score a lot of points and, try to play that style and use our athleticism. So that's probably my philosophy.
And how do you think that's going to translate with the team that you just inherited?
I think it's going to translate very well. You know, we've been playing that style the first few games in the summer league, and I think it really fits. You know, it really suits the kids' strengths, playing in the open floor and attacking the basket and setting each other up on the fast break. You know, I think that's really the style that the kids enjoy playing, and we as a coaching staff enjoy coaching.
And you've only been with the team for a few weeks. Are there any players or anything that's standing out to you so far that's kind of going to be something that fans can expect going into this season?
Yeah, absolutely. We have a few returning players. Rafi Laura, who's going into his senior season. He's going to be more of like a power forward, inside type player. Excellent athlete. He's going to be on the football team as well. Michael Anaya, who was LynnTech's leading scorer last year, is coming back as a junior. Excellent three-point shooter. And there's a few underclassmen, Dante Robertson, Michael Tate, and you know, a few other kids that we're real excited about. And we're looking, you know, we've been working hard with them to try to get ready to play at the varsity level.
And are you viewing this as a rebuilding season, or do you think that you guys have a real competitive chance to face up against some of these really big teams?
I think to start off in the beginning of the season, it's going to be a rebuild, and maybe not a rebuild, but a reteaching of the way I would like them to play. But I think once they get the handle on the style that we want to play and things of that nature, I think we're going to be a very competitive team.
And now we're in the summer league, so there's obviously the work going into on the court. What else are you doing off the court that you're stressing to these kids to get them ready for the season?
Yeah, we talked about you know, getting in the weight room a few days a week, and just working on their own skills when they're not with us. You know, I told them, you know, players aren't built during the regular season; they're built in the off season, and you know, the kids have really taken to that. You know, I see them driving around the city. I see them down the park working on their left hand or this jump shot or their free throws. You know, things we stress to them every week when we meet, and you know, I think they're very excited and looking forward to the upcoming season.
And describe the growth just from the first couple of weeks when you first got the job to now. Have you seen just a growth? I mean, your face kind of lit up when you were talking about driving around downtown and seeing the kids actually working on what you guys have been trying to teach them.
Absolutely, yeah. It's been great. You know, at first the kids are unsure of you, you're unsure of the kids, but we're starting to build a relationship, and you know, it's really going well. I think that, you know, like anything else in life, you know, if you're comfortable at what you're doing and you're comfortable at who your leadership is, you know, you're obviously going to be comfortable working on your game and trying to, you know, improve and compete.
And what would you describe the swagger of this team? Every team has their own identity. What's LynnTech's identity this year?
I think LynnTech's identity is going to be toughness. We have a lot of gritty, hard-nosed kids that like to get after it on offense and on defense. You know, just seeing them play the first couple weeks in summer league, they don't back down to bigger teams. We're not going to be the biggest team out there, but we're going to be super athletic and quick. And I would say, you know, a blue-collar, tough, hard-nosed mentality. And
do you ever stress the history, I guess, of the LynnTech basketball team? It wasn't all that long ago that they won the state title and they were in the state tournament. That's when my dad was teaching at Tech. I went with my stuffed tiger I got at Busch Gardens. Do you ever stress that and kind of set that as a goal for this team? 100%. The first meeting I had with the kids after I accepted the position, you know, was actually in the gym, so I was able to point up at some of the banners and, you know, some of the retired numbers and 1,000-point scorers and you know, talk to them about how it was, you know, a few years back and how, you know, the talent in this city, you know, we can get LynnTech back on top again through hard work and dedication, you know, like the years past. Really great getting to sit down with another new coach going into their first season with the basketball program. Coach David Leary really has some great ideas on what he's going to do to bring the LynnTech basketball program back into the conversation.
It should be interesting to see how he develops his career over at LynnTech. Again, we wish him the best of luck.
And we're in our season finale, so we're going to do one quick wrap-up of what's been going on this city For the first time in years, the Lynn Babe Ruth program has all 3 teams vying for state championships, with the 13-year-olds, 14-year-olds, and 15-year-olds all in the postseason this year.
Go Lynn. Also in Little League news, the Wyoma Little League action is up and at 'em. The Wyoma Little League is up for the District 16 championship. They'll be facing off against the always tough PBD West team. And they'll be fighting for the district title.
It's really exciting to see what goes on with the Little League and all the kids really coming up. And speaking of the kiddos, you can bring them down to Gannon Golf Club for a free kids golf clinic. You just need the kids clubs. You drop them off every Monday at 8 a.m. and an instructor will be there to teach your kids the game of golf. After every clinic, there's going to be a junior outing, so for $5, you get 9 holes of golf, and you can practice what they've been learning in their lesson. So it's a really great program. You should definitely take the kids down. That's how I learned how to golf.
It should be fun, definitely, without a doubt. Fun for the whole family, and it's always good to see youths in an inner city develop their skills in a great game like golf.
Absolutely, and it's free.
Yeah, free.
Everything's free.
That's it for this season of the Lynn MA Sportscast. We want to say thank you for everybody who supported us and watched our show. We'll be back in the fall of 2014. Stay tuned to watch our new show, Living Lynn, where Jessica will be going out into the field and going to see a little bit more about what Lynn has to offer for entertainment and lifestyle. Again, that's it for this season of the Lynn MA Sportscast. If you guys have any sports stories you want to reach out to us, you can reach us at www.LynnCAMTV.com/shows/Lynn MA Sportscast. We're also on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter at Lynn Sportscast. We want to say thank you to all of our guests that were on this year. That's it for this season of the Lynn MA Sportscast. From the studio here at LynnCAM TV, I'm Sean Donahue.
And I'm Jessica Starbard. Have a great summer.
Hi, I'm Nathaniel. You're watching LynnCAM TV. Thanks for tuning in.
Perfect, buddy. Heck yeah! That's awesome!